Hi, I'm Rally Harvey for B-Cycling News, and this is MoonRider's Tour, Stage 3 Winterberg. This stage finds us in Germany for the climbing stage of the tour. We're going to have 700 metres of elevation here. We're going around an area that's more commonly associated with the use of the luge and the bobsleigh. I think the World Championships are held here, and we're going to see some climbing. We're going to see some pain on the faces of the guys that are riding this course. They're certainly going to be challenged on this one. We're going to have a quick flick over now to the leaderboard to see where we're going to at the moment. And we can see on the leaderboard we've got Winterberg is in the lead for the gold jersey, which is the premium jersey on this event. And then closely followed by Matt Lucker, who's I think Team 3R, Gav Ash, TMC, I'm not sure what team it is, Stephen Brearley, who's also Team 3R, and we've got Mark Steenley, Jan Linden Poco, Daniel Schock of MoonRiders, Henry Farrell, MoonRiders, Francois Aikra, MoonRiders, and then we've an OTR rider there, Ryan Dummer, and then in 11th position, just dropping out of the top 10, we've got Daniel Nugua. We've also got Rocket Roy Neild in there as well, coming in 12th position. Had to mention him for the name there. And they've both all those riders have partaken in both stages so far. The ride is a 6-stage ride, but it's a series that works on the best 4 of 6. So the riders can either choose to skip some stages, or if they wish to, they can just ride all stages, and then they'll have the best 4 of their 6 stages count in the results. So we'll head down to the start line now. See who we've got on the start line. 32 riders registered so far. Isator, Leendo. Leendo, I'm pretty sure, took part in the handicap race last night, the PRT handicap race, so we'll have to see how their legs are. It was a challenging race last night for the guys that took part in the PRT handicap. They had to work hard on a flat course, Tempelhof, in a crit style course. Timo Achenbach, this is the ride associated with him. MoonRiders, the way they've organised this tour is that they've basically taken routes that are important to all of the riders from their team, and they've created the events around those riders, so they're from local areas to the rider. So it's yeah, every event has something of importance to one of the riders that's taking part from the MoonRiders team. It's the first event that the MoonRiders have put on, and I think you'll agree that so far it's been a fantastic event, and it's had lots of interest, and they've really put a lot of effort into this. So you can see Woods Place there on the front row, still wearing the yellow jersey. The dirt rider there. Now we see a couple of the Team 3R riders over on the right hand side. They'll be looking to protect their interest in this race. They've got a couple of riders who are up there in the top 10. Not a particularly long stage tonight. It's only 14.8 kilometers, but as I mentioned, sorry, 14.8 miles. As I mentioned earlier on, it is a larger climbing stage than before. I was playing about with the settings earlier on. I think I've left them in Imperial. Just see if I can switch them back to metric. I am British, but for some reason I've gotten used to using the Imperial, gone very European in my cycling, and I've got them used to the metric on the cycling. I'm useless in miles now. So 700 meters climbing, 23.9 kilometers. I expect that we'll be finishing in around about the hour mark. See how the riders get on. I am live on Facebook. I'm checking the Facebook messages, so if anybody wants to send through a message, I can see Matthias has sent through a message saying don't wait for me to finish. I'm not sure if he means that he's already in a race and don't wait for him, or whether he's not expecting to be finishing in too prompt a time, but I'll try and hang around for the majority of the riders to finish the race. So if you want to send a message in, and I'll read out your messages and respond to them live on air. And I'm also online in the chat. So if any of the riders who are actually riding want to send a message through, I'll be listening to those as well. So Ian Hurst again. I'm pretty sure Ian Hurst was riding last night in the PRT handicap race. So there's a lot of riders here who are dedicated to RGT and dedicated to riding as much as is humanly possible. As we're now down to 30 seconds before the start. We're running on one of the magic roads here. That's the beauty of RGT, is that we can create roads from anywhere over the world. As we are about to set off, we've got riders harassed here. He's going up in 6.5 watts per kilogram, going off like a rocket. And we've got Timo Achenbach there, stuck on the start line. We'll jump forward to some of the riders at the front there. Not sure what happened with those. Mike Aid sprinting at the beginning here. Lamont, Steenley, Hana, and we see Casper Hederdam returning to the mix now. Casper Hederdam took part in the first of the races, and he hasn't been taking part since then. As I say, you can choose to drop a couple of the races, and perhaps that's what Casper's decided to do. I know he's active in different cycling platforms. So Christophe Contant there of the Pedal Eyes flash up. As Lamont is leading this race on the front. Stephen Bellio, another of the OTR riders. Rohan, Lyndon Poco there. Nurgboer. Mike Aid just dropping back a little bit. 24th position, he went off like a rocket, but just as these elevations have started coming in here, he's struggling and he's dropping back towards the back. It's quite often easy to see who the heavier riders are. As soon as you hit an elevation, they do fantastically on the flat and the descent, but as soon as it starts going uphill, you can see them struggling a little bit. As we see Antolin just coming in there into the bottom of the screen, 25th position. They're bridging across to this group. I mentioned a moment ago the PRT handicap race taking part last night, and that's the kit that they're wearing, the PRT Precision Race Team kit. Hederdam up in the first couple of places there. He's in 4th position. So looking at the back here, we've got Nicholas. Nurgboer still hanging on to the front of this group now. 25th position. Lewis and De Groot there just grabbing on. Then we've got a drop back to Pedrix, who don't think they're going to quite catch back on. They're only 28 metres shy of this group. But if they were going to hook back on, I think they need to be going into the red of their power band here. As I say, that seems to be closing ground quite well. On a 0.5% slope here at the moment. And they're just going to catch onto the group and then probably leapfrog them onto the main Pedrick's power bar going red there. You see them putting the effort in to try and catch up. Pedrick's rolls through and they're back in the mix with the main group at the front of this race. Just spin around and see what's happening with the rider past there. We've got Groot not quite catching onto Pedrick's wheel, but he looks like he's going to manage to hook back on again. And behind him, Lewis. So across the bottom of the screen you can probably see part of the elevation graph. There's a full profile graph across the bottom of the screen. I think part of it's cut off due to my graphics that I've got running there. You can see red on some of that screen, which is indicating the gradients, and we're on a green section at the moment. We're just hitting 1.1%. Green sections, not too bad. They go paler green towards yellow as the elevation creeps slightly higher up, and then going further past that you go onto the orange and then the red sections. The red sections not particularly popular with any of the riders. That's usually when you're hitting gradients of around about 10%, and it does slow you down considerably. I'm just going to drop back through the field. Got the Groot Antolin there. Sorry, Antolin. Just dropping off the pace a little bit. Nicholas dropping back. Holmes in 28th position. And then we've got Skater of OTR, 29th. Lewis, they were up there earlier on. Hudselman. Tomasz Poniatowski, one of the MoonRiders. Fishback, 33rd position. Ian Hurst in 34th, Leandro back in 35th. Now we've got a couple of bot cams sat in the middle there, and then we're back with the riders on the start line. Now it's myself and another rider who technical issues no doubt at the beginning of this race. We are just a few days into the use of the One app, so some riders still getting used to the differences between the One app system that we're using now and the original 2 app system. Just a little bit of niggling, a little bit of issues as people get used to it, but in general the One app system is being well reviewed, well received by a lot of the riders, and as you're only generally having to worry about connecting one device to the internet, it's been a little bit easier for some of the riders to get themselves with a steady set system. Now we're just going back up through the field there. We've got Leandro, Hurst, Fishback, Tomasz Poniatowski, he's dropped Fishback, and then we've got Hutzelman up in front grouping up with Louis, and then we've got Nicholas and we've got Skater up ahead of those. As we're just entering into the early slopes of the first of 3 climbs. See Antolin, who made a great effort to bridge across to the front group, they've dropped back somewhat now, just pacing themselves as we're coming up this with 5.2% climb now. Rohan being passed by Holmes there. Holmes looking quite confident on these climbs. And he's passed Rohan like they're standing still, and he's making progress there up to Mike Aid. Mike Aid shot off like a rocket at the beginning of this race. I think he's struggling somewhat on these climbs. Holmes running through Mike Aid there. He's putting out 260 watts of power. Cadence down at 72 and at a heart rate of 169. He's just sitting on the wheel of Pedrick's there. As you're going up on these gradients, as the gradient gets higher and speed generally gets lower, the drafting benefit decreases. You can see he's saving around about 13 watts there in the wheel of Pedrick's. It's not a massive amount to be saving, but you know, when you're being punished, when you're struggling with the hills, any saving is important to you. See Holmes coming up here onto the wheel of Aid and Pedrick's, and he's flying past them as well. And just sit the camera on Holmes there as he's making progress through this field. Holmes coming up on De Groot. De Groot there, riding under the same flag as Pedrix. Is trying to stick to the wheel of Holmes here, and he's just distanced Mike Aid there as he's trying to stick to the wheel of Holmes. Holmes, De Groot. Holmes riding under the same flag as De Groot there, but don't appear to be working together. Not everyone riding from the same country knows each other. As Pedrix not quite latching onto the wheel. There's still a 10-metre gap there. Holmes is seeming to slow slightly. Mike Lister's commenting on the chat there that he's glad he's not racing this one. Just had coverage by Mike on the SDW Friday Frenzy series, Southborough District Wheelers. They're running a series every Friday, starts an hour earlier than this one at the moment. This is a tour, it's only a 6-stage tour, so the Friday Frenzy series by SDW will continue on all the way through the winter. And they tend to put on some other random events there. As we just see Holmes passing Steve Bellio. Steve Bellio of OTR. Just seeing the wheel there and jumping on it, keeping tight. And drop back to Bellio there and see he's saving 11 watts there on the wheel of Holmes. And just Holmes just snapping that elastic and breaking free. And he's making tremendous progress here. 4.3 watts per kilogram. Must be a fantastically light rider to be slicing through the field like this. See, it carries on and up towards Isathor, who's another of the MoonRiders team. Come up to bend on the circuit. I don't think we're going to see any of the auto braking activated here. 350 watts steadily from Holmes as we come up on Isathor and Nugburg here. Slopes at 5.2%. Riders will be looking forward to cresting this and having a little break on the descent. I suspect that Holmes will tactically want to get up with a group of riders. I'm suspecting that making progress like this, he's only a light rider, so he'll need to bunch up with somebody to assist with the descending. Heavier riders obviously descending faster than the lighter riders. Isathor and Nugburg still together there as they slowly reel in Lamont. Riders all past Lamont there. Holmes just looking like he's got stuck slightly with the algorithm. And when you're coming up behind a rider, if you want to pass them, you need to ensure that your power is a little bit higher than theirs, otherwise the RGT drafting algorithm thinks that you want to sit in behind them and will just park you there almost. So you need to make sure you've got a little bit more power on than the rider that you're coming up towards to make sure you go past them. Holmes just dropping off the back of Lamont there, applying the power and flies around the outside and coming up to the wheel of Nürburgring. Continues with that power to catch up with Isathor, Harest and Heel. And he's slicing through this. He's back up into 17th position now, up to the wheel of Isathor as they crest this hill and start into the descent. We've gone from a +5 to a -8.2 now. And we are dropping down 60 kilometers per hour. Isathor into the wheel of Harest and Harest dropping onto the wheel of Holmes. Drop back and see the draft saving that these guys are making, saving 560 watts there, and they're all grouping up together. Isathor there, 300 watts he was saving for a moment. He's just been distanced slightly, and that's a terrible place to get distance on a descent like this. You have to put in a phenomenal amount of power to recover that gapping on the descent. As soon as you lose the wheel, it opens up very quickly, and you do find that you drop out the back of the group rapidly. This tour there, I think he will struggle to get back into that group of Harris, Holmes and Meal up ahead. So we'll see whether Holmes decides to sit in this group for a little while, or whether he's going to carry on pushing through the pack and try and catch up with the riders ahead of him. We are grouped here with the riders between 16 and 19. As we start into the second of these climbs, we see another rider up in the distance there. We've got, I think it's Heel up in the front there. Winterberg setting the early pace on this climb. Looking like he's got a good tempo going, 4.2 watts per kilogram. Strong riders. This tour is distanced now by 46 meters. You can still see these riders in the distance. It's got to be awfully tempting to go deep into your reserves at this point and try and make it back into the pack. It may be wiser to play the waiting game. I'm just seeing on the in-game chat that Casper has said need a hand contact. I don't know whether he's asking for help or whether he's asking if contact needs help. We'll run up to the front of the race and see if we can catch up with what's happening there. Hana is off the front of the group. He is 83 meters clear of Gav Ash. Gav's been racing really well in the rest of this event. We see Gav Ash there in second place. He's clear of Steenley, next rider on the road, by again around about 50 meters. And then we've got Steenley being chased by Kasper Hededam. Kasper Hededam, a member of the ECKD club, the East Cycle Denmark club. A fantastically strong rider. He's, I believe he's a triathlete in his real life racing. And he attacks virtually every race I've seen him ride for RGT. He attacks it like a time trial. He just goes full bore from the gun. We see that Hededam and Christophe Contant there are grouped together. Hededam hitting 5 watts per kilogram and just slightly dropping Contant there. Contant is pushing 4.8 watts per kilogram. Just spin it round and see how Hededam's closing up on Steenley there. So we have Contant, and then in the distance there we can see the riders strung out. We're coming into a section of 5.5% gradient, but we are going to drop down shortly into an easier section. We'll see the distances increase. Hana there is now 270 meters. He's around about 80 meters in front of Gav Ash from his earlier 50 meter lead, but that is mainly due to this slight lessening of the gradient. So Contant now being dropped by Hededam. Drop back briefly and see how Winterberg is getting on. Winterberg currently our man in gold and the leader of the series. Hededam is going to be a challenger for the overall win on this series if he decides to race the rest of them. As I say, he is a very strong rider. He wins a lot of the races that he enters. He hasn't raced. He raced the first one with his teammate Fleming back, but he hasn't raced the other races in this series. So he has one race to his name, and he'll need to race the remaining races to qualify for the overall classification. And Winterberg there, just tapping out a nice steady rhythm. Got a cadence of 81, and he's got 300 watts under the bonnet there. A heart rate of 83, which does seem quite low, but you know, a lot of these guys are phenomenally fit. They're racing frequently in real life and on RGT. As we see Rocket Roy Neal there, coming up to the wheel of Woods Clace. The gradient tipping up now to 7.6. We've gone through that softer, gentler section, and the gradient tips back up again. 8.1% gradient now, and we can see Heaterdam up in third position. His numbers are going red as he is powering up this incline. He's desperate to get to the wheel of Gav Ash now. I suspect that he will be wanting to get up to Gav Ash, descend with him, and then play to his strengths. Casper will be rolling through that green section just after this descent at full power. Zed Hana up at the front of this race in a convincing lead at this moment in time. He's wearing a Team 3R kit. I'm not 100% sure if he is a Team 3R rider. We have had Matt Looker of Team 3R racing this. I think Stephen Brearley has been racing some of these races as well. So we have a number of Team 3R riders taking part. So we're coming up to a hairpin now. We may see, even though we're on a steep incline, we may see some of the auto braking feature in RGT applied here. Hana 216 meters clear of Gav Ash as he puts out 5.6 watts per kilogram. See the power bar underneath the rider's name? That's an indication of how far above or below their FTP they are. Yellow is just slightly above FTP, orange going higher, red, and then we have bright red. The almost illuminous neon red is only sustainable for around about 20 seconds, I think. Deep red, you can hit in that power zone for a good few minutes. As Hana rolls over the top of this hill, and we begin the descent any second now, coming round this hairpin. We didn't see any auto braking on the power there as Hana hits into the descent. 0.9% at the moment, but it will get much steeper and much faster. You see the power's eased off there, he's gone into the blue levels as he takes a breather. His work done on that climb, the damage done, and you can see the gaps opening up 350 meters away from Casper Heaterdam. Casper has overtaken Gav Ash. Casper Heaterdam there, coming up to that hairpin and starting his descent there. Gav Ash not far behind him. Gav needs to put in a big effort here to get to the wheel of Casper before this descent gets too steep. He really needs to be using Casper Heaterdam's wheel and sticking with him. Don't ease up, Gav. Keep moving, keep moving. We see there, Gav is into the draft on Casper's wheel. Draft sucked him through and into the front, and he's eased off there. He's going to let Casper roll through and take the lead again. He needs to chase onto that wheel. Casper hitting 5.6 watts per kilogram. He knows the danger of towing Gav down to the bottom of this hill. Gav's enjoying a drafting benefit there of 260 watts. Rolls through onto the front again. See Casper now just easing off. He knows he's not dropped Gav at that point, so I'm not entirely sure. I think he'll just enjoy this descent, recover, and then as the road levels out, I expect to see Casper hitting the power out in order to drop Gav Ash on those greener sections. Pushing on now. Steenley 430 metres behind. Casper, he's putting the hammer down now on this section. It's minus 7.1. I'm not entirely sure I agree with the tactic. Incredibly difficult to drop a rider on a descent when they're hooking into your wheel as Gavache is. We're coming up on the halfway marker. We're halfway through this race in 22 minutes. These lead riders, and Casper once again pushes on in this descent. Gav is enjoying a 200 or 300 watt saving benefit there. So in order to drop him, Casper is going to have to be hitting around about 700 watts on a descent to be able to drop him, and I just think that's perhaps not the best tactic. We'll drop back a little bit. Steenley, Christophe Contant, who was with Casper Heiderdam earlier on, Winterberg with Rocket Roy and Stevens, another of the MoonRiders. He's come up to look after his captain now, guide him through to the end. Now fly back forward, Christophe, Steenley. Now I just want to see what occurs here with Casper and Gavache. Gav's been taking a bit of a rest there on this descent. He's been able to sit in on the wheel of Casper and allow Casper to do a lot of the work there. Casper's been working hard. I would say that this would have been a more sensible point for Casper to be hitting out with his power and to be attacking Gavache. And once again we see his power numbers going red. As Casper Heiderdam attacks. Gavache, as I say, is enjoying 270 watt power saving there. Gav rolls through, takes the front and attacks himself. We have a wave from Casper there. Don't know if they made an agreement on the road to just do some of the work together. See Francois giving a shout out on the Facebook saying go MoonRiders, and it looks difficult. It does look very difficult. We are going to fly up to Hana in the lead. He's just taking it easy on this green section. I say easy, he's pushing out 4.4 watts per kilogram. That's not what I call easy, but he's only in the green section of his power. Flicking round, we can't see anybody behind him. It's 300 meters clear. If Gavache and Casper decide that they're going to work together, they will be able to close that gap down. But with only 8.9 kilometers remaining, it's looking a bit dubious. Drop back there. We have got Casper Heiderdam and Gavache still locked together. Steenley. This has been a lonely ride for Steenley so far. After a brief time in the main group at the beginning of this race, he's been riding pretty much solo since then. Christophe Contant and Winterberg with Roy Neild and Stevens. All a little group together. Dropping back now. Got a little pack of Spillane, Hermer, Ryan Dummer and Jouet. Herman there looks like he's wearing the Take That Hill jersey from the recent Echelon sponsored Purple Heart event. Drop back to Lyndon Poco. Holmes, he's still with the group that he was with earlier on, and Noboa and Walker of OTR. After his early attack and early slicing through the field, I don't know whether he burned himself out or whether he's just finding that these riders are riding at the correct pace for him. Isator, one of the MoonRiders, in 17th position. Harrest 18th. I think Harris was up with that group before of Nober, Holmes and Walker. Not sure if he'd had a technical. He's pushing hard here in these little sections. Orbea. 0 watts per kilogram. I don't know if they're pulled over to wait for someone or they're just perhaps having a comfort break. So we're back with Lamont, De Groot, Healy. Lamont pushing on in this section. And we've got Pedrix and Bellio. Mike Aid of Team OTR. 25th position. And we've got Skate. And then we've got another little grouping of Hutzelman, Antolin and Rohan. Hutzelman just pushing forward here. And just behind them we've got Tomasz Poniatowski being chased by Ian Hurst. Tomasz putting a bit of effort in here now. He's just seen the group ahead of him and I think he's trying to get to them before we hit the descent, but I'm not sure he's going to quite manage that catch. Ian Hurst, 31st position. Poniatowski continues pushing on. Go around that hairpin and he's just going to get to the wheel of Antolin, I think. Just one last little push. Hutzelman's clear of all the riders and he's starting the descent. Poniatowski into the wheel of Antolin and catching onto Rohan, and these three riders will work together and bring back Hutzelman. With RGT you don't have to push so much on the descent. You do have significant drafting advantage. That draft quite often slingshots you forwards and will pull the rider behind you into your draft. The rider behind you gets the drafting benefit if they're applying any power at all, even a little bit of power. They get slingshotted forward as well. And you kind of rotate in that manner on descents. As long as you're just paying attention and applying a little bit of power as and when to stop those little gaps opening. You do have a bit of an issue on fields where the rider weights it quite significantly different, so often the ladies that I'm riding with, they need to keep an eye out for the change between the climb and the descent. They're quite often a little bit lighter than myself, and whenever I go over the top of a hill they need to be right in the wheel in order to stay in the draft. Ian Hurst, he's on the descent too. And we have Fishback. Matthias. Hi Matthias, said I'd give you some camera time. And then just behind Matthias we've got Lewis. Wearing a Hube kit. Nicholas also in a Hube kit. And then behind them we've got Leendo. Wearing a Watt Bike kit with the BMC, I think that's the road machine. We'll fly back up to the front of the race as we are entering into this, really our final climb. Well, we can see that Hana is being chased down by Hederdam. Hederdam looks like he's now dropping Gav Ash. Hana still tapping out steady, 5.4 watts per kilogram, but Hederdam 5.8 watts per kilogram, 5.9 watts per kilogram, closing him down. Only an 18-meter gap between them now. Gav Ash slowly being distanced there as Hederdam is going to make the catch on Hana. Hana led this race from the front. And let's see what happens when the two of these riders get together. Hederdam still pushing hard. He's not happy with just sitting into the wheel of Hana there. as Hedam pushes through and takes the lead in this race. Hana once again on the power. As I was saying earlier on, these are referred to as magic roads. So all of the scenery that you see around the riders at the moment is computer generated scenery. It is from the imagination of the computer. They are gifted trees and rocks and fences of different types, and the computer decides where it's going to add those into the scenery around the road. The road is provided by a series of GPX points, and those GPX points position it in the XY axes, that's right, XY axis, but also the Z axis, so it gives the bends and deviations to the road, but it also gives the elevation of the road as well. So using those features, those GPX points, you can recreate any road from around the world. You can also use it to recreate virtual, imaginary roads. So some of the riders have used their imagination, and for the Halloween event recently we had ghosts created, we've had Christmas cakes, birthday cakes, all sorts of things. Anything that you can draw with Strava art, basically you can recreate in a magic road in RGT. More commonly, it's used as a training tool. One of the coaches I had a chat with the other day, and the conversation is visible on the VCN YouTube page. Will Usher of the Precision Racing team, he uses it as a training tool for his athletes going into time trials, and they've got a really effective system of recreating the road and then recreating what they believe will be events like feed zones in the road, or potentially having to pass a rider in a time trial and to put in that speed burst to pass a rider without being penalised for drafting. And they were very successful in one of their recent events. I think the rider's time finished within 12 seconds of the time which they'd managed to recreate on RGT. So the full race kit, race plan, it was within 12 seconds of what the actual race ended up, which must be phenomenally reassuring for the rider to know that they can do those sort of training efforts and know that it's going to play out in that manner on the day. See Hana and Hedam just battling together now. Climbed 510 metres of the 700 metres, another 190 metres left to go. As Hana pushes on and drops Hedam slightly, he's opened up a 6 metre gap. Hedam raising his power slightly. Gav Ash further back down the road, he's looking like he's going to be comfortable in his third position there. Hopefully he's not quite finished yet. We'll see a little bit of an attack from Gav. He's been riding fantastically in every race that I've seen him riding, really. Great riding, great skill, and a strong rider, always up near the pointy end of things. Now you can see them in the distance. Always find it difficult myself when you can see a rider to not put in those attacks to try and catch them. It's the sign of a good rider to just pace yourself and not try and attack too much and blow up. We'll take a quick fly back. We're going to be on this climb for a little while, so we'll fly back now. 6.2% climb now. Hedam just overtaking Hana there, and Hedam pushing on slightly. Hana not quite willing to let him go yet though. We'll fly back down the groups and see what's happening in the rest of the race. So Gavash Steenley still in no man's land, 350 metres plus away from Gav Ash. He has a solid rider in the form of Christophe Contant and now Wouter Claes joining up behind him, so we'll see whether Contant and Claes decided they're going to join forces and work to reel in Steenley. But Steenley's been doing fantastically here. He's been solo for most of the race. Christophe Contant, and then on his wheel our current leader, Wouter Claes. He's closing down on Contant there. Just see the catch. And a little wave from Christophe there. Reciprocated by Wouter as he comes through and pushes on. And these two riders might stick together now for a little while. Christophe just saving 9 watts in the wheel of Wouter there. He'll be happy with that little watt saving. Wouter tapping out the steady rhythm there, 4.6 watts per kilogram. Slopes on at 5.5. Back now, Rocket Roy Neild and Jay Stevens there, another MoonRiders. These guys were together with Wouter earlier on. He's dropped them on this incline. That'll be an interesting challenge between the two of them to see who's going to take the win. As we're back with Lyndon Poco, 395 metres further down the course. He just had to be caught by Juez there. Juez pushing in the effort as Hermer comes up on them as well. And there's Ryan Dummer of OTR. Just behind them, Spillane. Spillane not too far away there. 13-metre gap to close. So these first 14, 15 riders all within pretty tight groupings. Spillane just tapping out there. Not quite making the catch. It's not entirely sure it's worth making the catch for a 10 watt saving. Might be better off just waiting until a little bit later in the race and giving it your all on the final climbs. Back with Holmes. Holmes was flying through the field earlier on. He seems to have stayed a bit static now around this position, about 14th to 20th position. Walker battling on with him, and Nordberg, who was working with them, just dropped back a little bit. Zator, another of the MoonRiders, back in 17th position. He's 255 metres shy of that group now. He got dropped just on the descent, and it's that's what's happened. He's opened up a massive gap now. Healy in 18th position. De Groot, he's solo in 19th. Lamont 20th. Harris 21st position. And Pedrix 22nd. He's been followed by Stephen Bellio of OTR. And not far behind him we've got Mike Aid. Skater, again of the OTR team. There we go, Rohan in 26th position. Poniatowski not too far off his wheel, 27th. Poniatowski just before the end of the last climb, he caught up with Hutzelman and Antolin. He used them on that descent, and now he's dropped them and has moved forward by 100 metres. Antolin there, can just see Hutzelman in the distance, 130 metres away. Matthias Fishback, Ian Hurst first and 30th. Matthias Fishback. Louis just chasing on, you can see Fishback in the distance there. Chasing on to Fishback's wheel on this flat section. before we get into this next climb. Let's go up to Fishback. Go back to Leendo and Nicholas still on the course. Nicholas and then Leendo back in the distance. 34th position. 2.6 kilometers back on the group now. They're just doing a steady tempo ride. They're in their blue power band in the lower part of that, so I suspect they're not really challenging for the win in this race. Back up to the pointy end of the race and we'll see what's happening with Hana and Hidedam. That's good timing. They are 520 meters left to run on this race. Hana just taking the lead there. He's not putting in too much power. You can imagine that Hana and Hidedam are looking at each other going, who's going to go first? Who's going to make the decisive move? Hidedam, oh, Hana is pushing in. Hana's going in at 12.7 watts per kilogram. This is him going for the win now. Hana pushing hard, he's holding it, he's up at 9.6 watts per kilogram now. Hidedam not going as deep, Hidedam is holding it at 7 watts per kilogram. Hana's initial acceleration decelerating a little bit now, he's down at 9 watts per kilogram as Hidedam now starts upping his pace. We have still 150 meters left to go. Hidedam power dropping there. Hidedam is down at 4.9 watts per kilogram. But Hana is still able to hold it. He's up at 6.6 watts per kilogram with only 50 meters left to go. Hana is going to win this race in decisive style, and Hidedam coming in a confident second there. Oh, that must have been really something to see Hana accelerating in the way he did on those inclines. Hidedam not able to respond. I thought he was doing a measured response initially, and then he just eased right back on the powers. Hidedam comes over in second place. Gavash, 150 meters behind them. Fantastic ride from Gav now, coming in third position. Another podium position for Gav there. Steenley further back down the course. He is 280 meters clear of Wouter Place. Wouter is our current gold jersey wearer. We'll have to see in the results whether Wouter is able to maintain that position. Hidedam commenting on the in-game chat that it's thanks for good interval training, mate. And Hana is saying, nice one, guys. I don't think I'd be able to type after that kind of an effort. There'd be too much sweat flying around everywhere. Steenley tapping out fantastic rhythm here. 4.9 watts per kilogram. 300 watts. Cadence is 72. And his heart rate up there at 158. As we come to 20 meters, 10 meters, and we are home. Wouter Place, Christoph Contant 92 meters behind him. Only 250 meters left now for Wouter. I say Wouter is currently our gold jersey wearer. I think he will keep that for now. It'll be interesting to see as the tour continues if Casper Hidedam and if Hana continues with the sort of racing that he's doing, whether Wouter will be able to keep hold of that gold jersey. Fantastic rider, Wouter. He's just recently been drafted in by one of the teams in the Echelon Racing League to take part in the Echelon Pro Racing competition that takes part in RGT. That'll be happening soon. And I'm glad to say, I'm happy to say that one of the VCN presenters, Mike Lister, has also found himself positioned on Tour 2000. I'd like to say it was myself, but it wasn't. You will no doubt hear some commentary from me. I don't think Mike will be doing commentary on the races that he's taking part in. He does often do that. He does often ride the race and do commentary at the same time, but I think he's going to give his full commitment to the team and his full commitment to the race, and he won't be messing about with doing commentary at the same time. As you see, Rocket Roy Neal now coming in 7th position, closely followed by Stevens, and then we've got Juez coming in 9th position currently, but he has got Holmes close behind him. We've got 480 metres of this climb still to go as Holmes comes up title, and Juez powering away now. We've got 4 riders here. We've got Jay Linden Poco, Ryan Dummer and Holmes and Juez all close in this final 390 metres. See who is gonna open their sprint up first. Holmes was racing fantastically earlier on in this race. He sliced through the majority of the field to get into his position around about 14th, and he did look like he was sticking there. He's up in 10th position at the moment with this group of riders. 230 metres left to go now. Holmes opens up the power. Holmes up at 6 watts per kilogram now. Juez, who was in the lead, has been dropped. Ryan Dummer following and chasing hard. He's not looking like Linden Poco goes late. Linden Poco looking like he's timed it better than Ryan Dummer as Linden Poco comes up onto the wheel of Ryan and overtakes him. We have now got 80 metres left. T. Holmes looking like he's coming home in 9th position. Will it be overhauled just before the line as Ryan Dummer comes through the late sprint? Oh, it was too tight to call. Go back with Juez, who was leading previously there. Ryan Dummer did just take it from Holmes. Then it was Linden Poco, Juez, and then Hermer coming through in that grouping. Spillane in 14th position. Nugber and Walker now tightly grouped, 15th and 16th position. .230 metres left to go. Watching these riders closely, see which one of them decides to open up their sprint first. Nugber, Walker goes for it. Walker sprinting. Nugber goes. Walker's eased. Nugber goes through. Walker's coming back. Can he just slingshot before the line? Walker comes through and over. Nugber not able to respond again. Walker comes through in 15th, Nugber in 16th as we drop back to Isator. Isator is comfortably in 17th position here. I feel confident in saying that as some of the attacks that have just come close to that finish line after a race like that, to see riders still able to sprint for the line and for the positions. It's fantastic. Isator is clear of the groups by 320 metres. Isator now pen down the power. He wants to close out this stage, get on to enjoying his Friday evening. See the finish line in sight, 40 metres to go. Isator comes through the line in 51 minutes 55. We're back with Heel now, and De Groot. Heel has overtaken De Groot and he is going for it. 18th position over 19th. Heel 4.7 watts per kilogram. De Groot only at 3.5. On the inclines, the watts per kilogram is a fantastic judge of how much power the rider's putting in, how fast they're going to go. You can see there, Heel putting in 370 watts, dropped back to De Groot 325 watts. The watts per kilogram takes into account the weight of the rider, and that is what really affects you on an incline. 50 meters to go. If you are on a flatter section, there isn't much point in watching the watts per kilogram of the rider, because physics works slightly differently on the on the flatter sections, and the wheels take out most of the rolling resistance of the weight, so you will not have as much of a penalty for your weight on a flatter course, but you do have a significant penalty on the uphills for carrying more weight. So that's where the watt per kilogram, it takes that into account and puts everyone on the same scoring system, if you will. So if you're on a hill, if you're looking at watts per kilogram, you can judge how fast you're going and how likely you are to catch one of the other riders. If you're on the flat, don't pay too much attention to the watts per kilogram. You need to be looking at the raw watts that the rider is generating, which is on the show in the top left hand corner of the screen. And you can spectate mode on other riders as well to see what watts per kilogram they're putting out, if you need to, if you want to. So we're now at Lamont in 20th position. Coming up from the finish line with 100 meters left to go. Okay, we've got some comments coming in. Christoph Contant saying good ride, John. As Lamont comes over the line. Pedrick's 21st position, 50 meters to go. And the group giving congratulations to Heel. As Pedrick's goes over the line, and we're back with Harris in 22nd position. Heel commenting that it was really tough. It was a difficult race tonight. There will be some green jersey points on offer tonight for the riders. The MoonRider Tour is the first to be using a new scoring system developed with RGTDB in conjunction with MoonRiders, which allows different competitions to happen within the race. We have a gold jersey competition, which is for riders. It's an open competition. We have a silver jersey competition, which is for riders who are only silver class in RGTDB. We have a green jersey competition. We have a red jersey competition for sprinting and hill climbing. Dropped up back to Bellio now. Harris came over the line in just over 55 minutes. Bellio in 23rd position. One of the OTR riders. He's been an OTR for a long time. OTR is a very active club on RGT. And it's great to see such a range of clubs popping up. Christoph Contant, member of the Pedalers. We've got Team 3R. Some of their riders in here today as well. There's Team Lou, none of their riders racing tonight. And obviously MoonRiders. There are quite a number of teams on RGT. If you're interested in getting into racing, then have a search through the RGT users group, or jump on the Discord channel. There's a Discord group for RGT as well, and get in touch with one of the teams. They'll welcome you with open arms, and they'll introduce you to the racing scene on RGT. You are welcome to join in any of the races on RGT. It's quite an open platform. If you're not a racer per se, if you just want to jump in the race and see what the course is, have a little bit of a chill ride, you know, nobody's going to be bothered if you jump in the ride and sit at the back and just chill out. Everybody's quite happy to have people in and competing, and as I say, it's quite an open and welcoming community on RGT. It's Mike Aid from OTR, rolls through in 24th position. the way that gradients are affecting Mike and the way he shone off at the beginning of this race, I would say that he's one of slightly heavier rider, probably a little bit more set like myself, and favoured of the flatter sections. If you're interested in events over the weekend, there is the Team Lou group ride, which happens on Saturdays and Sundays at 3 o'clock. You can jump into that ride. It is a slightly unusual ride for some of the new people to the platform, in that there is no set pace. Lou asks that if you're interested in doing the group ride, that you ride at a slower pace for the first 5 minutes of the race. But after that, the race fragments. The ride fragments, and all of the riders just group up as you would in a normal group ride, and there's usually a leader of each pack who tries to keep the pack together, and they'll ride through to the end of the ride together. Saturdays it's on the flat circuit of Borrego Springs, and on Sundays it's on the slightly hillier circuit of Kielder. Mike coming through there in 24th position. Go back to Skater in 25th, another the OTR riders. And he's got 160 metres left of this course now. Putting down the power to get round and get finished. I think he's just going to sneak in underneath the hour. Come on, Skater, get it through. Oh, just ticked over. 1 hour and 2 seconds. Back with Rohan. Rohan in 26th position on the road. So stage 4 of the MoonRider Tour is the Isle of Wight. And that's a 31.9 kilometre, just shy of 2 kilometre course. It's another climby one. You've got 680 metres of elevation. As Rohan comes over the line in 26th position. And that one is occurring on the 22nd of November. So set your calendars. All these rides are shared on our YouTube page. They're scheduled already as Ian Hurst comes over the line. Poniatowski and Antolin have a little bit of battle here now in 28th and 29th position. Poniatowski playing a sprint now, 75 metres left to go. Antolin pushing hard but not quite able to overhaul him. Poniatowski comes through in 28th, Antolin in 29th position. Hutzelman in 30th with 420 metres left to go. Yeah, so as I was saying, the MoonRiders Tour of Europe next stage is stage 4, which is on the Isle of Wight. All these rides are scheduled in our Facebook page, so if you want to head over there and set yourself a reminder. They're also on our YouTube channel if you prefer YouTube, if that's your platform of choice. We're there as well, and they are scheduled there, so set yourself some reminders so you can join in and follow how the stages are going, follow how the riders are performing stage after stage and how they're getting on in the GC. And as always, I would encourage you, if you haven't done already, if you're enjoying our streams, please like and subscribe or follow the page. Just encourages us to get back online and to cover more of these races. We do enjoy doing it, it is fun. We don't get paid, So, you know, it's nice to have a bit of recognition to get those likes and follows. It's almost like getting paid without the money. So, if you're, it takes you 2 seconds to click on that thumbs up. As we see Hutzelman now with 110 meters left to go in this race, coming in 30th position. They're pushing all the way to the line. Just easing up, you can see the finish line, and they are home in 1 hour and 3 minutes 20. Back with Matthias Fischbach. Not sure, you must forgive me for my pronunciation of names. I do my best, but I am not perfect. So if anybody hears their name being pronounced incorrectly and they want me to pronounce it correctly, please get in touch, message me over Facebook. Hey dude, am I pronouncing it correctly? Wave if I am. Is it Fischbach? We didn't get a wave. I'd love you to get in touch. Give me a shout over Facebook. Tell me how to pronounce your name. If I've pronounced everyone's name wrong tonight, just get in touch with me and I will try and correct it for the next time around. I do have a pretty strong Manchester accent, so I'm probably not going to get it perfectly, but I will get in there and I'll try and do it to the best of my ability. But I am positive I am pronouncing everybody's name wrong, but I just give it the best shot. See Matthias Fischbach there coming through. He's 31st position. He's 760 meters clear of Louis. Next rider on the road comes to that hairpin, whacks it round there. He's eased back on the power. You can see the 1 kilometer marker in the distance. Wearing the original RGT kit. The kits in the kits in the game. There's a phenomenal amount of them. With Echelon now coming in, I won't be surprised if you see more kits arriving in the game. There are loads of kits available. There's a search button now in the app, so you can jump on there and you can search for loads of different kits. There's loads of ways to make your avatar individual, different bikes, different kits, different helmets, different glasses, all little things so that you stand out from the crowd. It helps me as a commentator. Say for instance the MoonRiders tonight, they all wear the same kit with the green and yellow banding on, apart from Wutu who's in the gold jersey. So it does make it easy to spot those riders from a distance and when you're in a group to pick them out. And unlike some of the platforms where you don't really see team tactics, RGT, with the drafting that it has, the way that drafting is so dynamic, the way it works so well, you do see team tactics coming into play. I've seen riders flying off the front and their teammates chasing them, and then as soon as they've got to the front of the pack, sitting up and just waiting for the riders to have to come round them. And that can be enough to open up a gap and allow your lead riders, your protected guys, to go off into the distance. So Francois Eicher is one of the MoonRiders team, been involved in setting this up and been involved in working with the VCN team to ensure that they got coverage of the whole of the race, the whole of the tour. And he's just saying now he's supposed to be racing tonight, but he's not so unhappy to be watching. So I think this is perhaps one of the stages that I would have dropped out of. If I was racing this tour, I think this is one of the stages I would have decided to wipe. As I say, I'm a bigger guy, about 85 kilograms. Don't push out as much power as a lot of the smaller guys, so a lot of the lighter guys on this platform. So nowhere near them on the hills. With a little bit of canny riding on the flats, I can do okay, but nowhere near a lot of the riders on the hills. Francois is a good climber, as is Wutu. So Francois, unfortunately you weren't able to take part in this one, but I'm sure you'll be back and racing in the next one. So great graphics tonight. We're running in the ultra settings. For those again who are new to RGT, there's different graphics settings depending on the capabilities of your platform. So you can choose between low, medium and high, as it's referred to now, graphics settings. RGT, when you download the program, it has a look at your computer, your device that you're running the screen app on, and it will automatically discount some of the settings for the graphics if your computer is not able to run them. They do recommend for racing purposes that you race in low. It does lower the quality of the scenery, gets rid of some of the things like the shadows that we can see here on Fishback. We can get the shadows and the shadows from the trees. But what it does do is mean that when there's a large number of avatars, it allows your computer to run more smoothly and doesn't clog it up too much. The avatars are produced locally on your computer and are quite power hungry, so it's important that it flows and you run at the highest frame rate in order to get the best experience. So just sit on Fishback's shoulder here. We have got 150 meters left to go for this race, 5.3% gradient, and we're tapping out a nice steady 2.7 watts per kilogram going up this incline. ...691 meters, 92, only 8 more to go. Heart rate up at 171, I suspect that is near Fishback's top end. As he comes over the line in an hour and 9 minutes 53. Fantastic riding. Just going to drop back to Louis now. Louis has got 670 meters left to go. Unfortunately, I'm not going to have time to watch all of the riders home. We'll watch Louis and Nicholas, but unfortunately at the endo we will just have a check-in with them before we leave, but we're not going to be able to watch the endo all the way home on this schedule. We just passed there on the road. You can see in the distance, the back there, we've got Woods of Clace MR and a number of other names on the road there. RGT takes some of the names out of the starting pack and recreates them in chalk on the road. So when you are racing, full racing mode, every now and again you catch your name on the road in chalk, and it can just give you a little bit of inspiration and a little bit of more motivation to put the power in to keep going. See Nicholas now 135 meters away from Louis. They were just putting a little bit more power there. I think they were trying to make the close, but they've just eased up slightly. Louis wearing a Cube shirt here, that nice red ombre fade. The detailing in RGT is fantastic. You can see on the road there different road markings as cars have skidded and made dents in the road, and gravel sector on the side as you see the individual leaves on the trees, and every now and again you wonder what it is that's floating past you, and it's a little tree that's being blown by the wind. This course is being rendered in the standard RGT. There's 2 screen packs for RGT at the moment. There's this model, which is the standard RGT, which is quite bright and sunny, and we also have the Springtime in Europe, which has different road surfaces, and has cobbles on the road as well in sections, as well as having tarmac. We have bridges going over the road and little features like puddles, but also, to make it a little bit more realistic, it has rain. So, you know, if you're bored of riding out in the rain, then come to RGT so you can ride virtually in the rain. At least you don't get wet and cold. And Louis now, 32nd position, only 180 meters left to go. So lots of different bikes in the game. I think this one is the BMC Road Machine. Great bike in real life. Disc brakes,
the way that all the road bikes are turning out. Even Pinarello now are switching over to disc brakes. They've been a supporter of the rim brakes for a long time. Not particular fan myself, but I don't think I'm going to have much choice for the next bike that I buy. All the bikes in RGT have a weight of 7.7 kilograms as Louis comes over the finish line with a little bit of spring there. His friend here riding the same kit, same bike. Yeah, all the bikes in RGT have the same kit, they have the same aerodynamic effect, they basically have the same penalty. You weighed in at 7.7 kilograms for your kit on RGT. So what really makes the difference in RGT is your legs. Not like some of the other platforms where you can choose an aero bike or a climbing bike or a TT bike. You choose the same bike effectively, and what makes the difference is how fast you ride it, how much power you put in. As Nicholas comes over in 33rd position, and we drop back to Leendo. As I said earlier on, I suspect Leendo is not racing this. When you're looking at the, I don't know if you can see my cursor there, you can see his power bar underneath his name. It's in the blue section. Blue is well below FTP, it's just jumped up into the green there, but pale blue is below FTP, and I suspect that Leendo is just in this race to have a tempo ride. They're pushing out 2 watts per kilogram. That is unless, of course, they've set their FTP incorrectly. If they've set their FTP incorrectly, it will be giving wrong colours on the power bar. They have got 2.5 kilometres left to go. Unfortunately, that's going to take a little bit too long out of our schedule tonight. They too are riding the BMC road machine. They're wearing the Watt Bike kit in black. So just getting a couple of comments through on the Facebook. Matthias is saying I had a good screen representation, nice one. And Christophe Contant, my French not fantastic. We've got bien belle route, which I think means good route. And he's also saying thank you to the MoonRiders. Merci les cyclistes lunaires. I think my translation's correct on that one. So we'll flip back over and we'll see whether that's good night for Leendo. Sorry, not going to see you finish tonight. I'm just going to jump back over to the RGT DB website and just have a look and see whether that is updated with the latest results. Nope, I don't think it has. See if we can force an update on that. Bear with me for a second. There we go, fantastic. That should be showing the latest results now from the stage. We have got change up at the top end there, and we can see Winterberg is up in first position still with a total of 545. Gav Ash, with his third place in that race, has brought himself up into contention. He's only 20 points away at 525, and Mark Steenley with a great race as well, coming up into 490 points in third position. It's not massively far away. We've got Jan Linden Poco there, 452. Ryan Dummer, who also had a great race tonight, in at 404 points. And Rocket Roy Neild in with 367 points. So let's see if we can check out the other jersey positions. bear with me for a moment as we just see if we can reload that page and it'll bring up the alternative jerseys. Nope, unfortunately not. We can't get it to show the other jerseys tonight. So, gold jersey positions there. And I'll bring up the other jerseys for next time around. So it's fantastic racing tonight. Glad to see all of the riders coming home. Let's just flick back briefly to Liendo there. Not got too long left to go. Great racing. And that's it for tonight. So, as previously mentioned, if you'd like and share, that'd be amazing. Really enjoyed having you along. Hope you've enjoyed the racing. And join us for the next stage, which is the Isle of Wight stage. Can't wait to see you then.